It's safe to say your dog isn't being distracted, at least not in the way we may think. Have you ever been walking your dog when suddenly they stop to sniff a patch of grass, a tree, or some scent trail you can't even see? Many of us think, man, my dog is distracted. But what if your dog is actually doing exactly what dogs were designed to do? This month, our June theme is the nose knows. And one of the most important things to understand is that dogs experience the world differently than we do. We primarily use our eyes. Dogs primarily use their nose. Every scent contains information. Who was here? What happened? How long ago did it happen? Is this familiar? Is this worth investigating longer? What looks like distraction to us may actually be an investigation for our dogs. They're gathering information, processing the environment, and trying to understand the world around them. That's why I like to think of dogs as little scent detectives. Their nose is helping them collect clues about what's happening around them. When Azul was younger, we used to walk around Strawberry Lake quite often. And there's this sweet poodle and her owner who also walked there regularly about the same time of day. We never really stopped to chat with her owner, but Azul absolutely adored that dog. What fascinated me wasn't that he liked her, but how he knew she was there. We could be halfway around the lake and suddenly Azul's behavior would change. His pace would get quicker. His body became more animated. Instead of sniffing the ground casually, he'd start air sniffing. Sometimes he'd keep looking behind us. Other times he'd start pulling ahead slightly. At first, I really couldn't figure out what was going on. Then I'd spot the poodle every single time. Eventually, I realized Azul's nose knew she had arrived long before I ever saw her. In fact, I could often tell exactly when she got out of her car because Azul's behavior would change almost instantly. He wasn't being distracted, he was investigating. His nose had gathered information that he found important and that my eyes hadn't quite caught up to yet. And that was a great reminder that dogs experience the world very differently than we do. One of the biggest reasons I love the cake framework is that it reminds us how to be curious before we become frustrated. Compassion helps us recognize that sniffing is a natural behavior. Awareness helps us notice what our dog is investigating. Knowledge helps us understand why scent is so important to our dogs. Empathy helps us appreciate the world from our dog's perspective. And support helps us learn to work with our dog's nose instead of working against it. Now that doesn't mean we may never ask for focus, but before we label every sniff as a distraction, it helps to ask, what is my dog investigating right now? That one question can completely change how we view our dog's behavior. So this week, I challenge you to become a behavior detective. The next time your dog stops to sniff, pause, or observe, you might discover they're not distracted at all. They're investigating something they find valuable. Because the nose knows how to investigate.